Hello everyone. Imagine a land shrouded in mist, where ancient stones hum with the power of forgotten gods. This was Britain, a realm of Celtic tribes and Roman legions, where the old ways, the pagan traditions, were woven into the very fabric of life. For centuries, people worshipped a pantheon of deities tied to the sun, the moon, the forests, and the rivers. Druids, the priests of this age, held immense power, guiding their communities through rituals and prophecies. Even after the Romans arrived, bringing their own gods like Jupiter and Mars, the local beliefs didn't just vanish. Instead, they blended, creating a unique spiritual tapestry. Think of the goddess Celes, Minerva, and Bath, a perfect fusion of a local Celtic deity and a Roman one. This was a world of magic, myth, and a deep connection to the natural world. But a new story was beginning to unfold, carried on the winds from a distant empire. Christianity first trickled into Britain subtly, perhaps with Roman soldiers, merchants, or even officials. It was a minority faith, often practiced in secret. Early Christians faced persecution not just from the Roman authorities, but also from a society deeply invested in its traditional gods. These early believers were incredibly brave, holding on to their faith in a world that was often hostile to it. We find whispers of their presence in archaeological finds, symbols scratched onto pottery, or hidden house churches. They were laying the groundwork, planting seeds of a belief system that would eventually reshape the entire island. It wasn't a grand, sweeping conversion at first, but a quiet, persistent current flowing beneath the surface of Roman Britain, waiting for its moment to rise. The fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century plunged Britain into chaos. The legions withdrew, leaving the island vulnerable. Anglo-Saxon tribes, the Angles, the Saxons, the Jutes crossed the North Sea, bringing with them their own fierce pagan gods. Woden, the Allfather, Thunor, the Thunderer, and Ti, the god of war. Their arrival pushed the native Britons and their fledgling Christian faith to the western fringes, into places like Wales, Cornwall, and Strathclyde. For a time, it seemed as though the old gods of the north would triumph. England, or England, as it would become, was once again a pagan heartland. The grand Roman villas with their Christian mosaics crumbled, replaced by the great wooden halls of Saxon kings, where bards sang epics of heroes and monsters, not saints and martyrs. But the Christian flame, though diminished, was not extinguished. It survived and even thrived in the Celtic West and across the sea in Ireland. Ireland, which had never been conquered by Rome, became a vibrant center of Christian learning and missionary zeal. Monks like St. Patrick had converted the island, establishing monasteries that were beacons of knowledge in a dark age. It was from these Celtic strongholds that the faith would launch its comeback. Missionaries like St. Columba, an Irish prince who became a monk, sailed to the Scottish island of Iona in 563. He founded a monk that would become one of the most important spiritual centers in all of Europe. From Iona, monks traveled into the pagan kingdoms of the Picts in the north, facing down warrior kings and druidic priests, not with swords, but with the power of their conviction. While the Celtic monks pushed south from Scotland, another mission was arriving from the opposite direction. In 597, Pope Gregory the Great sent a monk named Augustine to the shores of Kent in southern England. The King of Kent, Athelbert, was a pagan, but his wife, Bertha, was a Christian princess from France. This gave Augustine his opening. The story goes that Athelbert, wary of Christian magic, insisted on meeting Augustine outdoors. He listened intently as Augustine and his monks, holding a silver cross and an icon of Christ, preached their message. He wasn't converted overnight, but he was intrigued. He gave them a place to live in Canterbury and permission to preach. Within a year, the king himself was baptized, and thousands of his subjects followed. Canterbury became the heart of the Roman branch of Christianity in England, a direct link to the authority and tradition of Rome. So now we have two distinct forms of Christianity, vying for the soul of England. The Celtic tradition, coming from the north and west, was monastic, decentralized, and had its own unique customs, like a different way of calculating the date of Easter and a distinct style of monastic tonsure. The Roman tradition, spreading from the south, was more organized, hierarchical, and looked to the Pope in Rome for ultimate authority. For a while, They coexisted, but tensions were inevitable. A Saxon king might be converted by Celtic missionaries, while his queen, from another kingdom, might follow the Roman rite. This created confusion and political friction. Which date for Easter should the court celebrate? Whose bishops had the real authority? It was a clash of cultures as much as a theological debate. The turning point came in the year 664 at the Synod of Whitby, a meeting called by King Oswy of Northumbria. His kingdom was at the very crossroads of these two traditions. Oswy himself had been converted by Celtic monks from Iona and followed their customs. His wife, however, had been raised in the Roman tradition from Kent. The royal court was literally celebrating Easter on two different dates. To resolve this, Oswy gathered the leading churchmen from both sides. The Celtic side, led by Bishop Coleman, argued for the traditions of their beloved St. Columba. The Roman side, represented by a charismatic churchman named Wilfrid, argued for the authority of St. Peter, to whom Christ had given the keys to the kingdom of heaven. King Oswy, a pragmatic ruler, asked a simple question. Who truly held the keys to heaven? When both sides agreed it was Peter Oswy who made his decision. He declared that he would follow the Roman custom, not wanting to risk being shut out of heaven by its gatekeeper. The decision at Whitby had massive consequences. It aligned the English Church with Rome and the rest of Western Europe, paving the way for a more unified and organized structure. The Celtic traditions didn't disappear overnight, but their influence waned. The English Church became more centralized, with a clear hierarchy of bishops and archbishops under the authority of Canterbury. This unification of the Church actually helped to unify the fragmented Anglo-Saxon kingdoms themselves. Shared faith and a common ecclesiastical structure created a sense of a single English identity that hadn't existed before. Monasteries following the Roman rule like the one founded by Benedict Biscop at Monkwearmouth Jarrow became great centers of learning, producing incredible art like the Lindisfarne Gospels and brilliant scholars like the Venerable Bede, who would be the first person to write a history of the English people. The conversion of the Anglo-Saxons wasn't just a matter of kings and bishops. It was a slow, gradual process of changing the hearts and minds of ordinary people. How did it happen? Often Christian missionaries would adopt a strategy of adaptation rather than outright destruction. Instead of tearing down pagan temples, they would often Pope Gregory himself advised Augustine to cleanse the old temples, build altars, and place relics inside, turning a place of pagan worship into a house of Christian God. Pagan festivals were also co-opted. The winter solstice celebration, Yule, was absorbed into Christmas. The spring festival of Easter, a goddess of the dawn, lent her name to Easter. This clever strategy made the new faith feel less alien and more familiar. Old sacred wells and trees were reconsecrated to Christian saints. The heroic warrior ethos of the Anglo-Saxons was also reinterpreted. Christ was sometimes depicted as a heroic warrior, and the apostles as his loyal thanes. Poems like The Dream of the Rood blended Christian themes with the language and style of old pagan epics. It was a brilliant cultural synthesis. By the 9th century, England was, by and large, a Christian nation. The old pagan gods had faded into folklore and superstition, but the story doesn't end there. A new wave of pagans arrived. The Vikings, their raids on monasteries like Lindisfarne in 793 were brutal and shocking. For a time, it seemed as though the pagan tide was returning. But this time, Christianity was too deeply rooted. Even as the Vikings conquered and settled large parts of England, creating the Danelaw, they too eventually converted. Kings like Alfred the Great not only defended their kingdoms, but also championed the Christian faith and learning as essential parts of English identity. The eventual conversion of the Vikings marked the final chapter in the Christianization of England. The misty land of Celtic gods and Roman temples had been transformed into a cornerstone of Christendom, a process of conflict, conversion, and cultural fusion that shaped the nation and its people forever. This epic transformation shows us that history is never a simple replacement of one thing with another, but a complex and fascinating conversation between the old and the new. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey back in time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from history.